are 2 weeks into the 2020 hurricane season, and we've already seen 3 named storms, and weather officials are already predicting an above average season, but this year a new concern is among us, the COVID-19 pandemic. So tomorrow on Perspectives with Eric Reynolds, we hear from weather officials on how you can prepare for this season. Eric here with us now to tell us a little bit more about what we can expect on tomorrow. A lot of things going on with this weather that we have, and of course the key word is being prepared, and to prepare now.
That's right. A lot of discussions going on about how this is so different than any other hurricane season because of this international pandemic when you talk about it. And of course, folks on the East Coast and the Gulf affected by the pandemic, and we're always concerned about these hurricanes, you know. And as you mentioned, just 12 days now into this, and we've already had 3 named storms, and so it was predicted to be an above average year. So it makes people wonder, because of those number, say 19 possibly named storms, they're talking 6 to 10 hurricanes and maybe 3 major hurricanes. So a lot of concern about preparations now, and especially how you prepare to go to places that you would have gone to in the past, where loved ones, or maybe say your grandparents, and you know, who knows of the different ages and the health conditions. And so really didn't have to think about it then, but this year you have to. And so they are urging everyone to start planning now. Go ahead and decide where we're going, how long it may take to get there, because if you're evacuating from certain parts of the southern parts of Baldwin County, you've got to make time to get out of there. Exactly. There are only so many roads to leave on. And so on the program, we have Jason Smith, our chief meteorologist, talking about the season, analyzing, and also talking about how the pandemic plays into it. Then we also talk with the deputy director of the Baldwin County EMA, who talks a lot about being, as you mentioned earlier, weather aware, knowing that what's going on, and so they have sources and resources for that. And then of course one of our tropical weather specialists from the Coastal Weather Research Center, and he talks about this whole big picture of it only takes one storm to ruin our ruin our day, you know. So regardless of how many predicted, being aware of how you can hopefully avoid any issues if one does come right to us this time.
Right, and always being better safe than sorry, we always say. We always want to be over prepared, because you just never know. Mother Nature we can track this all day, but you never know what it's going to bring. So again, the being prepared and weather aware with those different apps and technology is super important. One other thing that we're also planning for is those shelters that a lot of people they do try to go to beforehand or even after a storm hits. And with COVID-19, social distancing is just is it impossible? What are they saying about that?
Well, it is possible. Yeah, definitely possible. But the issue is they want you to have somewhere else as your first alternative and have it as your last option, because they know that that social distancing is going to be an issue in the actual shelter. So they're hoping they can plan for fewer people and be able to put everybody in areas where they won't have to worry about the COVID-19. But definitely, you know, you bring your mask, keep that with you, and they recommend also, if you have your own hand sanitizer and those things, keep all of your goodies with you. And also that rolls over to preparing. Hopefully you've prepared to where you've already had to deal with the COVID-19 needing stuff in the house. So just build upon that so you're all set.
Got that supply ready to go. So also one thing that we always see on the Gulf Coast, especially during the summer months, is a lot of visitors at our local beaches who just they don't really know how the water is, and a lot of times it does make it difficult to make sure that our visitors, both on Dolphin Island, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, to know what those flags mean at the beach. So what are they saying about making those visitors aware and educated about what goes on the Gulf Coast? I know when I'm down there reporting, a lot of people are just taking pictures, and it's different to see it firsthand on how things are happening.
The Weather Channel.
So it's interesting to see a lot of people walk the beaches, try to take pictures, and they start going indoors once it gets really rough. But how are they educating our visitors? I know.
Well, that's something they've been working on for years, stepping up that reach out to the visitors, because in the time of this year when it's vacation time, you probably have twice as many visitors than the people who live normally at the beach. And so they've been working on things through the hotel rentals for condos, as well as just general information around. You may see sometimes when you're down there, you'll see the big screens on the roadway where it's saying check in with Baldwin Alert or EMA Alert to know what the weather is, because you definitely have to know, because if you've got to make way out of the beach area, that is something you have to plan for, because there are only so many roads leading out of the beach.
Yeah.
And when everybody leaves at the same time, that's
a headache waiting to happen.
really
Yeah,
is.
so the tropical system, we had that this past weekend on Dolphin Island. I know I was down there reporting, and there were a lot of visitors on the west end of the island that always floods with sand and water. So we did see that firsthand. But one of the things that Mayor Collier was saying was making sure those guests are aware. So they're good with, telling the rental properties to let people know, move your cars. Unfortunately, someone did lose their car in that system.
Yeah, I mean, that was just so sad to see that, because that water moves fast.
Super fast, yeah.
And then, of course, if the sand comes with it, you're dealing with some things that you might not be able to pull out of, which that happened to that car that we all got to see last year. But yeah, they're all sort of, even through the beach tourism, they have geared up in a way to make sure that we're reaching our guests, because they are such a important part of the economy this time of the year, and we definitely want them to be safe and know what to do, especially in a timely fashion.
And then being a reporter, seeing people that are from here, and they say they don't move until it's Category 4 strength or 3 strength. So even though you may be from here, again, you just never know, and it's always better to over prepare than to be sitting at home and you say, oh shoot.
That's right. Like Hurricane Michael, it kept gaining in intensity at the end, which is rare. We've never seen it, but we're seeing things these last few years that we haven't seen before. And then again, tying in the pandemic to the whole picture, we've got to definitely be planning on the front end. So yeah, please join us tomorrow morning and hear more about this. Some great experts to give us that information.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eric,
so
much.
Asha.
All right. Again, Perspectives tomorrow after our morning newscast.